Now, we are still in the aftermath of Trump's victory, and there's been a lot of conversation about what that means for America outside of a policy level, like culturally. The fact that so many came out to vote for this guy, what does that mean for our country? The people in it. Like, can we ever sow that divide? Can we ever, like, reconcile this? Is this something that can ever be came back from culturally? Like, will it ever be the same again after this? There are so many questions. And I think the answer to most of them is the one you do not want to hear as is the answer. And that's unfortunate, but I think it's the case. A big result, or something that's happened following Trump's victory, has been the right's running of a victory lap. And this was always expected. If you've been in politics long enough, you'll realize very quickly that politics is not really about two sides who want what's best for the world or for the country, but have two different philosophies for how to, like, arrive at that point. That's not what politics in America is. For the vast majority of people, even if they don't realize it, politics is actually their side is the correct one. The other side is literally evil. For those that have fallen for the conservative worldview, they believe that trans people are pedophiles and the Democrats are enabling them to hurt children and to destroy the careers of young women that want to aspire to a great career in athletics and sports. They're falling for bullshit, but they still believe it, a lot of them do, and they're falling for a narrative that's easy to believe on their false premises that they set forward, right? And so I think we all knew that when Trump won, the right was going to take a victory lap, that, like, for a lot of them, it's not about making things better, it's about hurting the left, gloating about the left losing, and really rubbing the salt into the wound. That's a lot of conservatives are all about that. It's really like their whole life, honestly. And part of this campaign that they've been doing was all about how supposedly all these companies that they had been complaining about being woke all this time are now walking it back. They've realized that the chuds were right, and they're unwoking their media. I don't know what term, de-wokifying their media. America will be woke no more. And I thought that was kind of ridiculous at first. Like, yes, the Republicans did win the presidency, the House, Congress, Senate, and they have the Supreme Court. That's true. They have every significant branch of government in a majority, in the red. And while that looks like a colossal landslide victory and has definitely been what the right and Trump have tried to market it as, when you look at the amount of votes or even the amount of seats the Republicans won by, it's a slim margin. We're talking we only need to swing 2 or 3 Republicans in some areas to vote with the Dems in order to deadlock, like, Republican, like, any Congress, like, moves by Republican Congress. Like, it's actually surprisingly thin. Republicans did not win by a very thick margin. Not in the popular vote, barely in the Electoral College, and barely in every other area did they win the majority. And so this victory lap about how the left is dead, I mean, hell, even Elon has been claiming he doesn't know how much of the left, quote, is even real. And that's a pretty interesting conspiracy they've started, is that the left doesn't exist. But I wasn't falling for this idea that, like, let's say companies like Disney were now unwoking themselves. I thought that, yeah, these companies engage in, like, rainbow capitalism. They try to chase what's current and popular, but the idea that they just, like, blatantly do that, really? That'd be surprising to me. But one of the main things they pointed to substantiate this claim was this particular story from late last year, during December. Disney removes a transgender storyline from animated series, according to reports. Disney reportedly removed a transgender storyline from the upcoming animated series Win or Lose, explaining some parents preferred to avoid the topic. The Hollywood Reporter, which first reported the change to the series, cited a Disney spokesperson confirming the removal. Quote, "When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. a Disney spokesperson said in an emailed statement to The Hill. I love how we're back at that stage now where it's like kids need to learn about the existence of gay people in the context of however their parents decide they should, thus basically mandating that a child's opinion on gay and trans people will be whatever their parents' opinion is, because they're not allowed to hear about it from anyone else. I hate that they're playing into that, but this story blew up. And I have to admit, definitely did not look promising for things, right? But I wasn't willing to accept that, necessarily. That Disney was just fully pivoting to please conservatives. Until I saw this. This is actually kind of crazy. The controversy over Disney's new Christian character, briefly explained. I'm not joking. They literally removed a trans character, the fifth trans character that they were probably going to pussy out of actually including anyway. But yeah, they keep on saying it's going to be the first trans character, and they don't follow through on it, and then they promise it again. Everyone says, isn't this like the fifth trans character? These trans people they're so greedy, and it's like they never added a trans character. They just keep advertising it, never following through. But regardless, all that aside, Disney got rid of the trans character in their upcoming product and created a new, like, Christian character that's supposed to be this, like, persecuted Christian. You know what I mean? Like, I don't... Let's read the article. Disney has added an explicitly Christian character to Pixar's new series, Win or Lose, the same fucking show. I love that. Christianity? Yeah, every kid should learn about that from a positive framing. But trans and gay people, we want to make sure we don't present that in a positive way as not to upset any of the parents that want to make sure their kids have the same opinion as they do. Disney has added an explicitly Christian character to Pixar's new series, Win or Lose, that might not be head-turning in isolation, but it comes just months after nixing a transgender character's storyline from the same show. And amid a cultural wave of pushbacks to a diversification, both for Disney and the country at large, now fans online are speculating about exactly what this latest move might mean. Is Disney entering a new conservative era, or is this all just business as usual? Let's take a look. I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty clear that they are. What I find so interesting about this is it's so culturally tone deaf in the same way that Disney has always been. You know what I mean? Like, Disney at least had the wherewithal to recognize that, like, society has been moving generally left, and that trying to virtue signal some progressive whatever was actually a moneymaker. But Disney, for some reason, out of all the companies out there that created media, really could not pull off, like, any form of, like, diversity or virtue signaling without it coming off extremely disingenuous and cringing out even people that agree with gay rights, you know? Like, Disney was some of the most blatant rainbow capitalism you could think of, and it always came off as disingenuous, which was a big part of why conservatives who made a living off of calling it woke garbage, ideological whatever, were able to sway so many people, because it felt right. It may not technically be true, it may not have literally been true, but it felt right, and that's all it took for a lot of people to agree with that. And so Disney in modern Disney is, I'm not talking about like 1940s Walt Disney Nazi, okay? I'm talking about modern 2020s Disney, okay? Disney has tried very hard to make itself look squeaky clean and progressive because that was seen as the best way to sell in this era, right? And now, but they've always done it very tone deafly. People never really liked it. It never really worked. Like, it worked, but it worked in a sense that, like, everyone who didn't mind it cringed at it and moved on. And then there was an entire industry that got created around shitting on it. Like Disney's brand of progressivism. And so Disney, doing the same thing basically, just 180s to the right, and is now like blatantly nixing characters who are like part of any level of diversity that could be involved after having announced they exist, then publicly announcing they're like removing them, and is now adding Christian characters to try to appeal to that same audience, essentially doing the same kind of like tone-deaf, blatant, hollow virtue signaling, but to the right. And the question is, will the conservatives eat this shit up and become like all Disney adults or whatever? Or will this just mean that Disney has blatantly told all of the people of color and LGBT people who like its products and its media that they would on a dime flip to pandering to those that don't think they're even human and don't deserve to live? Is this going to be the true downfall of Disney? Disney might have already destroyed their reputation with conservatives. This might just destroy their reputation with all the normal people and progressives. What do you guys think is going to happen? As a matter of fact, I'm interested to hear what you guys think will happen in the comments in regards to this, because my theory, I think this could be a massive hit to Disney, which, by the way, has been plummeting in the stock market for like a year now. Of course they never cared. That's why it's called rainbow capitalism. It's virtue signaling because that is what is marketable. The reason why we argued against the go woke, go broke types isn't because they were attacking these brands for being disingenuous. They tried to use that as a cover from criticism, but in reality, they love to say go woke, go broke, with the implication being that being progressive, including diversity, being left-wing, or having any left-wing influence meant financial failure because those ideas are not popular. And to conservatives, by the way, simply arguing an idea isn't popular is the end-all be-all of arguments. Politics for conservatives is all a popularity contest, down to like, does this guy have less subs than the conservative figure that I watch? Well, clearly he doesn't have anything valuable to say. I have gotten that comment from conservative viewers countless times. Like, if you had anything, if any of what you were saying was true, you'd have more subs than insert right-wing YouTuber. I've genuinely gotten that comment, not just hundreds, but thousands of times. To conservatives, a lack of perceived popularity means an idea must be wrong. And if they perceive more popularity around an idea, then it must be right. They're pea-brained. They really are. One of the largest consumers of Disney content is not even in the US. It's Japan, I think. Interesting. Pixar's series, which debuted on Disney Plus at the end of February, follows a team of preteen softball players, with each episode focusing on a different character. Reports about what actually happened to Win or Lose's trans characters seem to be in conflict. In December, The Hollywood Reporter reported that Disney characterized the changes as simply removing a few lines of dialogue that referred to or referenced gender identity from one character's storyline. But as Deadline reported, Pixar had explicitly sought a trans voice actress to play the role, and she later described herself as, quote, very disheartened by the change. Man. Some media reports have been simplistically juxtaposing the two decisions, either lamenting or celebrating the Christian characters as a repudiation of the trans one, when of course there can be overlap between religion and gender identity, and the Christianity portrayed in the show doesn't take a position on the issue. Yeah, but we all know, like, in this culture war environment, what it's supposed to be. It's a virtue signal, right? It's we removed the trans character, and we gave a spotlight to a Christian character. It's like a white, blonde Christian kid, right? It's like, okay, like, all right, we see who is meant to watch this and feel spoken to, right? Like, we know who this is being made for. Yet, in a larger context, there are some grounds for questioning the company's motives. Disney has spent decades battling pushback from conservatives over its LGBTQ and inclusivity, most recently over its hostile response to Florida's Don't Say Gay law. The feud resulted in backlash on all sides, both for Florida and for then Disney CEO Bob Chapek, who was subsequently given the boot in favor of his predecessor Bob Iger. One thing to keep in mind, if you ever wondered, like, how did Germans fall for the narrative that, like, Jews were controlling and destroying the country as they were being, like, shipped away, like when they were being locked into the ghettos? How did they still believe they were controlling the country and the fault of all these problems and whatever excuses they'd make up for why they hated Jews? How could they think that way when they were all being carted to the ghettos? How could they think that way when they're all being put on the trains? How could they think that way when the Jews are being taken to the concentration camps and executed and slaughtered and worked to death? Like, how could they say that they're this massive, powerful force, all the while, blatantly, if you pay even the slightest bit of attention, that group is losing, on paper, more rights every day? And if you ever wondered how that could happen, how broadly, societally, at a large scale, that could happen, it's happening right now with LGBTQ people. The Don't Say Gay bill was like 2 years ago at this point. Over the last 2 or 3 years, the right across the country has been hammering, not just rhetorically, but legally down trans rights and trans representation, to the point now where trans people have less representation and less power or rights than they've ever had in modern, like, politics here in America. Like, we're seeing a possibility of gay marriage getting axed away, right? And meanwhile, people are more believing the idea that trans people are a threat today than they were 2 years ago, when trans people actually had more rights and, I guess, broad capability of forming some sort of coalition that could be a threat to whatever they consider, like, the American, like. But nowadays it's like every trans person in America is terrified and just wants to survive, and yet the idea that they are part of an agenda trying to destroy the country and hurt children is more popular now than ever. That is how the people of Germany continue to believe the Jews were the fault of all their problems, as they were being actively executed by the government by the millions. That is how. We're seeing history unfold in real time. I'm not saying it'll get to death camps or anything. I mean, it could, though. I mean, I'm scared that it will. But, like, we're seeing a very distressingly similar path retread itself. That hasn't stopped audiences across the political spectrum from making connections to what they see as a bigger change afoot. One frustrated fan described the cancellation of Tiana as pure anti-blackness. Openly gay out. Openly gay out. Or openly... Wait, what? Or sorry, openly gay out, openly Christian in. Okay, it was broken up weird in terms of the way it was typed and spaced. Was how another Twitter user framed Win or Lose. Yet another cheered the removal of the trans character and the portrayal of the Christian character as what winning looks like, quote unquote. Yeah, so very clearly this isn't like Disney had an intention and then the left had their reaction, the right had their reaction. No. Disney went in knowing that when they did this, it would give a clear message to both sides. It would give the message to the right, hey, we're on your side. You're winning, we're joining you. And it would give the message to the left, we're abandoning you because you're losing and you're not giving us money. That is the message Disney wanted to send because they knew how people would react. It's called a dog whistle. In its current incarnation, however, Win or Lose isn't easily a win for regressive politics. The show is not exactly pushing any barriers, but it's far from excuse me, that felt good though. From proselytizing. The first episode shows a kid, Laurie, I love how it's like, I don't care if the show proselytizes one idea or another. It clearly doesn't. That's not the point of this. It's the message that it sends to axe the trans character, or at least axe the character's transness, and then bring the spotlight to the white, blonde Christian character, knowing how this would, what this would cause in the culture war that has been so negatively against Disney all this time. They're trying to pander to those that have been attacking them. The show is not exactly pushing any barriers, but it's far from proselytizing. The first episode shows a kid, Laurie, praying out loud to, quote, Heavenly Father, as she waits for her return to Bat. Or I guess it's, yeah, still blonde and white, though. I don't know if I said he before. I think I did, but regardless. But then she goes home and greets her tarot reading crystal-wearing mom. Meanwhile, there has been conservatives upset online about another character, a black mother who twerks. I mean, that is definitely an interesting thing for a Disney movie, I won't lie. I wasn't I was not expecting that to be a thing, but okay. Sure. What these character decisions add up to for the company's future is unclear. Ultimately, this doesn't seem like a situation where anyone has to win or lose. Good one. Why is so much of, like, journalism these days, like, hollow? I guess it's supposed to come off as impartial, but it's like, dude, are we just gonna pretend like the entire cultural conversation we're in right now is not what it is, and that, like, playing the center right now is, like, the most pussy bullshit you could possibly do at the moment? Like, clearly what happened here happened. Anyway, listen, if y'all appreciated this segment and my commentary on Disney deciding to just throw the left under the bus in order to chase quick profits, then please, please, please consider leaving a like and a comment. It really does help a lot. You can also subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the channel, because believe me, if you don't, they won't. And if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then you, of course, can do so by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or you can support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or you can buy some Xander Hall custom merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good one.